All right. I want to talk about these three here, capturing RAM from a process, VirusTotal, and PacketTotal. So this is a cute trick. I remember I did this at Hope years ago. If you are running a process like a browser, and that process stores unencrypted data in RAM, you can steal it if you can just dump the RAM from that process. Now, you could dump the RAM from the whole machine and hunt through it, but that's big and annoying. And you don't need to. Microsoft gives you a tool to dump the RAM from a process. So if you open Internet Explorer and visit a couple of websites, including samsclass.info, then it'll put those URLs in memory unencrypted. And you can go to iExplore and find the process. And if you use proc dump from TechNet from Microsoft, you can then dump the process by process ID. So you get a relatively small file. This is 320 megs of the memory reserved for that one process. And now you could search through it with a variety of tools. But if you're just looking for strings, you could even just use the command line strings. I just used a hex dump. HXD is a hex viewer, and you can search for strings inside HXD. So you could find this this URL. And it used to be about 6 years ago when I went to Hope that you could open Chrome and log into Google and you could find your Google password in plain text in RAM here. But I think the browsers have been updated so they no longer store your plain text in RAM for sensitive things like passwords. Anyway, so that's one thing to try. And then VirusTotal, everybody's heard of VirusTotal, but they've been adding a lot of real malware analysis tools into VirusTotal, so it gives you more and more information. And so you can download a malicious traffic sample. There's this great website that has a bunch of them. So here's one to get. And when you upload that thing to VirusTotal, you can upload a PCAP to VirusTotal, which is a thing I didn't know about until I started doing this. And then it will give you the DNS requests it makes. So you can see if it calls a command and control server or no malicious domain. It will give you snort and suricata analysis of that traffic, just like we've been getting on live traffic and snort in the other projects. You can see the user agents if you examine that thing in Wireshark and so on. So it's good to see PHP requests. And here's the thing that I was doing earlier, showing someone how to handle a CTF problem. If you want to get the downloaded files from Wireshark, you can do file export objects HTTP, and you'll get all the file transfers over HTTP. It will reconstruct the files and dump them all in a folder, which is very nice. You get all the images, all the executable files, and everything else that was downloaded. So you can totally find objects here. Anyway, and then there's PacketTotal, which is specifically designed just for PCAPs. VirusTotal also handles packets to some extent, but PacketTotal gives you different options, and sometimes it's more. So again, you can get a malicious traffic sample and send it up here, and you can just analyze it on the server, and it will show you what it does. So here is suricata alerts on the DNS that it found for suspicious activity, and you can then, of course, it'll go back to VirusTotal to give you information if its stuff is detected as malicious. You can detect run keys, the same thing we were looking for with the direct installation of Splunk and Sysmon on Windows. You can find run keys that are written in the Microsoft Run folder in the registry. You can do executable analysis, and it will tell you about that. You can find the files it writes, all the file names and paths of all the files it creates. So this is really nice to find indicators of compromise. You find what servers it contacts, what files it drops, what registry keys it drops, and you don't have to spin up a virtual machine or infect it or anything. They do all that for you on these free services. So it is very nice, fast automated analysis. When I taught to this class years ago, students spent a lot of time installing and configuring software on servers. And as I move forward, they more and more just use services that are up there already running. All right, so I'm going to stop this one.